Hi there, welcome to I Will Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Sagittarius energy. And first we're getting cards out of the Kipper deck, and then I'm going to get cards out of the tarot to expand on the story or clarify the story. And then we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because everybody is kind of at different emotional maturity levels in their Sagittarius energy. In shadowy energy, of course, we can be more immature, prideful, stubborn, lazy, egotistical, self-centered, more look to other things other than love to be the answer in our life, thinking those things that we indulge in or make our life about, status, ego, image, or whatever will make us happy. And some other people could feel like those people haven't realized that just put more importance on it. Everybody can put work and effort to have stability and security and be very victorious and successful in their job, but it's more, hopefully because they're inspired by it in their fire sign energy of Sagittarius. That's when things kind of flow more easily because you're kind of in the flow with your truth. You're investing your time, energy, and effort into friendships and relationships and career fields that are in line with your truth. And then those are things you enjoy, so it just flows better and it can become very stable and abundant for you over time. And other people, kind of in their more worldly nature of their Sagittarius energy, could feel like they could be more inspired more by the image or the status, so they could get in friendships or relationships or a career that isn't really aligned with their truth, but because they're so manipulated by the world or these things that they think will make them happy, they really can invest in it, but then it can feel overwhelming. So we're going to see also shadowy energy. We just kind of indulge our more immature nature. At the end of the story, we have the Ten of Wands, which is Sagittarius. We've either went down a journey of life, which eventually people could be feeling it now or will feel it, where it's just overwhelming because if it's not aligned with your truth and what you really love, and it is all these other reasons that manipulate you, it will start to feel more and more overwhelming at times. And at which point, some people might realize, they can't keep investing in whatever that is that they love, that they've made important in their life, because it's not aligned with their truth. Again, we could love living more from our mind than our heart in the Nine of Swords. But the Nine of Swords is also Gemini energy, which is about our dualistic free will nature. And that could be in my Gemini free will. I choose to love making my life all about me or these things of the world. And then we realize it was all an illusion. Why did we let those things become so important in our life? And part of it can be that we didn't listen to our intuition, or we weren't willing to get out of our ego. We weren't willing to see the truth. And we go on that journey, and life's all about learning lessons. That's Sagittarius energy, higher learning and education. We've got to go down some of those wrong paths to realize, oh shit, that, because we probably were trying to go for the sun, a new beginning, seeing the truth, clarity, inspired, loved. And then it's like, oh wow, that was all just an illusion. And I invested in all of it and put a lot, maybe work and effort into it. And it was all just an illusion. And some people right now might have to backtrack. But again, we've got to get out of our pride and ego to say, oops, I think I went down a wrong path. But, if we learn lessons from that life experience, it was time well spent in a way, because it helped us get clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. And there's 10 suits in every suit of the deck, and this is the 9. And there could have been something that someone was thinking, no, 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 I am sure this is the truth. But the moon can represent, it's just an illusion. And so what we kept thinking, no, 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 I'm sure it's the truth. And sometimes it's other people in our life who could have been living more from their mind than their heart, creating the illusion that they are motivated and inspired by love. And we move forward with them, and then we realize, wait a minute, this isn't because of love. It's more of a strategy. It's more for the ego, the image, the status, the fear, the insecurity, the codependency. And then we have to step back to regroup. And other people are going on a journey. They've already went, we're all on journeys to learn these different lessons in life, and we learn them at different times. So, some people could just be finishing up a phase and realize, oh my gosh, that was all just an illusion. Or I wasn't seeing things clearly, or all these things that manipulate me, I find so overwhelming. And they could be on that journey. Other people had already went on that journey, and they already kind of saw some things that were an illusion. They saw things that manipulated them. They didn't keep moving forward in it because it's kind of like their intuition told them, you're kind of going down the wrong path. And they came back and they regrouped, and now they're closing out a cycle and they're moving forward in life differently. So over here, we start out with the House card, which I view as the Four of Wands, which is Aries energy, which is about the self. And the reason it came out is because of the Journey card, which I view as the 8 of Wands. The 8, the 9, and the 10 of Wands is Sagittarius energy. So there's some people right now that are everybody's going on a journey at any time in their life. We're moving forward in life somehow, living our life probably in our Sagittarius energy, in what we're motivated and inspired by. We have the next cards coming out, and it's not showing itself, but the reason it came out is because of the Lovers card. What is it? The World card. Okay. Well, the World card in reverse can mean that some people are less caught up in the world, and they are more inspired within themselves by love. And because of that, they're inspired to love themselves, to believe in themselves, not get more caught up in themselves or in their ego, or indulge their more immature nature, or live more from their mind than their heart. They're looking to the future, and the moon in high vibe can be listening to your intuition. And there might be some people in our life as we move forward in our life that we would like to not close out a cycle with. We can have people in our life. The World card can be closing out a cycle. So the high vibe people are taking action more motivated and inspired by truth and love, listening to their intuition. There are people currently in their life that they love. With those people, they would probably keep moving forward with them. They do not want to close out a cycle with them. There might be some other people that we kind of realize kind of what drives and motivates them, and what they love. And again, some of them, they're more inspired to be about themselves. They might not want to learn lessons. They might not want to do love. And they might like to live more from their mind than their heart. Some of those people that you've already been in friendship or relationship with, you realize that there was some lessons you did need to learn about love. For one, love is supposed to be just and fair. People are supposed to treat other people the way they like to be treated. But there can be people who kind of have these illusions about what it means to be in relationships. They do live more from their mind than their heart. They do kind of indulge investing in their more immature Sagittarius energy, either wanting to be in a relationship to be in a relationship for reasons other than love or just to indulge in it and kind of enjoy it. But they could have these illusions about what it means to be in a relationship. Again, could live more from their mind than their heart, maybe more strategic. And some of those people that you know are more worldly, um, some of those people you've kind of cut out of your life out of love for yourself. It's like, no, those people can go find someone else to be in a relationship with. I already saw through the illusion of who they were. I realized I went down a wrong path. I maybe had to learn to be inspired within myself to love myself. I could have been a more codependent energy, had growing up and maturing to do myself. I also, the Nine of Swords being Gemini, about our dualistic nature. Some people are very inspired within themselves by love and not as much by the world. We can all put in work and effort to have stability and security in our life, but just more motivated, again, to want to be in friendships and relationships and careers with people that we love. And since that's our truth, we think other people are motivated and inspired by that. And we can get in some more mismatched relationships because we have to see the truth. We live in a world of duality where people have free will choice. And if there's going to be choice in the world, for every person that's more kind of motivated and inspired by love to different degrees of emotional maturity and habits and patterns and vices, there's equally going to be people on the opposite side that don't want to do love and aren't motivated and inspired by love, who like to live more from their mind than their heart, like to make their life more about the world, like indulging themselves more in relationships and maybe fire sign energy. Sagittarius is fire sign energy. It's more about indulging themselves in relationships. Liking to be in relationships could be, you know, fun or supportive and encouraging people, kind of, but it's more like having sex in a relationship than love, because they that can be their fear. And so fear of love, you get hurt doing love, so they don't want to do love, but can look and act like a lot of other people in the world. It's just they don't really let themselves do love. Quack like love, look like love, enjoy relationships, but just will not kind of more emotionally invest themselves. So we could say that they're more inspired by Aries energies about the self. So regardless of what zodiac sign, in their Aries nature within themselves, they're kind of more inspired in their self-protective nature to, I'm not doing love. I will be in relationships. I will maybe get married. The Four of Wands can represent coming together with others in joy and celebration. I will be happy to be in the relationship, enjoy myself in the relationship, maybe be encouraging and supportive of everyone in different ways, but more authentically do love. Now, again, the Ten of Cups is Pisces energy, like the moon. They defend this illusion that they have where they can operate more in shadowy Leo energy from their ego nature of self-protection and defensiveness. I think I can operate from my ego and still shadowy Leo that anyone can harness. You know, if you're not harnessed, high vibe Leo is being authentic and honest and motivated and inspired by love. High vibe Pisces. I am more motivated and inspired, and I view the sevens because there's 12 zodiac signs and we have our shadow nature of all of them and our more high vibe nature. In order to more authentically be aligned with our tipped more in favor, 7 out of the 12 of our zodiac signs that we as a person can tap into, they're more tipped in favor of having hope and faith and belief in their in love and connecting in more with letting love and intuition guide them than people who are more tipped in favor in their Leo and Pisces and Sagittarius energy of being more in favor of operating more from their defensive egoic nature to make their life where maybe they can use their words and their charm and their sexuality and their looks and all those things, just use them more manipulatively, and they think they're going to be happy. It's just that if they're get in more mismatched relationships, the people who are authentically motivated and inspired by love will become defensive to them. You know, if you really are motivated and inspired by love, you kind of know how to fill up your own cup emotionally because you're aligned with love. You know how to be loving and giving to other people, and it's authentically who you are, and you're not shadowy Leo, and being in your ego can be more like you're putting on a show, trying to present yourself as being more authentically motivated by love. But people who are more defensive can wear a false mask. They can kind of interact with people and kind of do what they do, but it isn't authentically who they are. Or it is more for the sex of it, or the indulgence of it, or the image of it, but just not really authentically motivated by love. So then we have the Nine of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles, and the reason is because of the Fool card. So the Queen of Pentacles, the King and Queen of Pentacles is the only married suit of the deck, but it can also represent, I view it as Taurus energy, so it can represent all these different institutions of the world, friendships, relationships, jobs. You know, everybody can enjoy and wants to be in friendships and relationships or have a job or a source of making money, right? And we can all enjoy kind of those friendships and relationships or those jobs, but why are we invested in those things? Is it because that's authentically what we're inspired by within ourselves? Or is it a more shadowy Taurus way of living life and view of relationships? Can be, it's just more transactional, you know, kind of like jobs can be more transactional, you know, but hopefully we'd get in a job or a career field that we like, and hopefully working with other people we like. And some people don't, you know, and sometimes we don't really even want to be there. But because we're kind of motivated and inspired by the things that we enjoy from, say, a job, but who's authentically more inspired to be there and emotionally invest themselves in it because it is aligned with their truth. And in the Nine of Cups, which is also Pisces energy, enjoys it. you know, the more you say like a job, the more you enjoy that working at that job versus if you're at a job where you kind of feel like you have to do it more for those reasons of the paycheck, or that there's people there that you don't like, but because of some reason to not go get a different job, feeling you have to indulge someone, you know. And some people could always feel like it's just having to indulge people because they'd really rather just be more about themselves, you know. And other people are less just being more about themselves, and they want to, you know, authentically be in friendships and relationships with people. And then there's other people I want to be, it's more, can enjoy it too, but it's just still more what they can get out of it. How does it benefit them? You know, more. And that would not be that great in like a romantic relationship because, again, it's like only for as long as I guess they're getting out of it what they want to get out of it, you know. But in high vibe, coming together, being inspired to come in together with others, enjoying celebration, would be because you love them and you want to be in that relationship and you enjoy them and you're happy being in relationship with them, and you want to invest in them, and you do emotionally invest in them. And in the Fool card, you're willing to take that leap of faith. And there could be some people right now trying to move something forward just more for their own self-interest, and other people are trying to move something forward because it is aligned with their truth. And if people have been trying to move something forward and then they kind of realize, wait a minute, I think our idea in the Justice card and the Three of Cups, kind of why we want to be in it with some of the people, I don't think I'm going to get justice in this relationship because I don't think you're really motivated and inspired by love. This is Libra energy represented by the scales of justice, and this is Cancer energy, which is water sign energy like Pisces. Is this motivated and inspired by love, or isn't it? And if I'm more motivated and inspired by love, but I'm in a relationship with someone who could harness their Libra and Cancer energy in a more shadowy way, they, again, Libra is air sign energy. They could live more, and anybody, they don't have to be a Libra sun sign, but anybody can think it's more just and fair to kind of be a little bit more about themselves and how it benefits them. And then again, they could use their emotions more manipulatively, their sexuality more manipulatively, their things of the world, their looks, their charm, their money, all these reasons, because they want whatever their idea of getting justice in the world is. And for some people, sadly, sometimes shadowy people who really aren't motivated and inspired by love, and it's really just more about how it benefits them, they don't want to be in a relationship with someone who's like themselves. They want to be in a relationship with someone who's more motivated and inspired by love. And again, if some people have already done that with people, some of the people that were already in a relationship with them, they could have put a lot of work and effort. That's what the Ten of Wands can be, to try to offer love to it. Could have been really confused, not understanding why it didn't seem to be more just, more fair, more free-flowing, more balanced, more... And again, it can be where people kind of have a really hard time accepting the truth that not everybody's motivated and inspired by love. And again, for some of the people who already did that, they could have already gotten out of it. Well, sometimes, shadowy people also don't want to see the truth. They think it's just and fair for them to maybe emotionally manipulate loving people. They could have decided at some point in time in their life they weren't going to do love, maybe because they felt emotionally manipulated. Well, that just makes you a fool. That makes you a sucker. But other people maybe haven't seen the truth of it. Those people are living in an illusion. Well, someone's going to manipulate them. It might as well be me. And then they decide to go out and try to manipulate loving people. And they could keep trying to do it. But they're also not wanting to see the truth. And the thing is the people who are motivated and inspired by love do listen to their intuition. Eventually, it might be really hard for them to do it, because once they've gotten in a relationship with someone and they've invested in them and they're putting in this work and effort to try to kind of like bring this dream into reality with the Six of Pentacles and the Star card, which the Aquarius, represented by the Star card, can be this dream. And the Six of Pentacles is Taurus energy. We want to be in this friendship, this relationship, this job. We want this dream to come into reality. And then in the Hierophant, the high vibe people are really kind of trying to walk the talk and putting in the work and effort, emotionally invested, trying to put work and effort to bring that dream into reality. And while they're doing that, the other people are exchanging resources with them in the relationship. It's like, hey, this works for me. This looks like I'm in a relationship with a just and fair loving person who's motivated and inspired to put in work and effort to make this dream come into reality. This is great. I'm going to keep exchanging resources and time, energy, and effort with them, I guess, until they realize that they're in it more for all the ways that they benefit from being in it, but they're defensive to closing out a cycle and really doing love, aligning with their more high vibe Gemini and Pisces energy, where you're more aligned with having hope and faith and belief and love and offering love. That's very scary to them, because that's like unknown territory, because some of these people in the world have lived more from their mind and their heart for a really long time. And they're defensive to doing it differently. And for some of the shadowy people, that's what they think. I think, and they could think this is just and fair. This is their idea of the dream life. If you're more motivated by love and I'm willing to be in a relationship with you, you kind of, maybe together, we're able to have something that by worldly standards looks very just, very fair, shining bright in the world in some way, stable, secure, victorious, successful. Isn't that what everybody wants? But that is more what they want, but they don't want to authentically do love. And the other people that they're in a relationship with didn't want to be in a relationship just for more of these other reasons. Do we all want friendship, relationship, have a job, have things that look stable and victorious, successful in some way? Yeah. But the other people didn't want to invest in an illusion of love. They really wanted to and are operating from love. In their high vibe Leo energy, they are being authentic. I am doing this work and effort to bring this dream into reality, but I want it to be from love. And if that's not your truth, then I don't want to keep moving forward in an illusion. And the people who are happy to be in it, but they like to live more from their mind than their heart, they're like, no, come with, no, let's keep doing it this way. And the other people are like, I can't keep doing it that way. And the high vibe people are less about the world. I'm not in it more for the ego or the image or the status. Are those things I want in the world? Yes. Is that enough to make me stay in it? No. I'm inspired within myself to love myself, and I'm more independent of my more worldly nature. I have my worldly nature, I have my emotional nature, but I maintain balance within myself, more operating from a foundation from love. High vibe Gemini, high vibe Cancer, high vibe Libra, Taurus, Pisces, Aries. You know, I'm more balanced within myself. Do I want some of these things of the world? In Taurus energy of the Six of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles, and the Hierophant? Sure, I'm a human being. I live in the world. I want friendship, relationship. There's these things I want to manifest that are part of my dream. But high vibe Taurus is that it has to be inspired by truth and love. If it wasn't inspired by truth and love, then it's just to be in it more for these reasons of the world. And again, that's why some people want to be in them, want other people to be in a relationship with them, might feel like they have these things of the world, or contribute to people seeming like they have those things of the world, and they're okay with it. But they might just be people who think, well, I'm going to have sex with someone. I'm going to kind of have to indulge someone. I'd kind of like to invest in someone and indulge in someone that I'm attracted to, or is maybe not like me and might be more loving and encouraging and supportive and act with more character and integrity and have more hope and faith and belief and love, because it's great to be in relationship with people like that, but I don't want to do that. Well, that's unjust and unfair, right? I want you to be like that. Oh, but I'm just going to create the illusion that's who I am, but that's not who I am. Also, when people could get in a more mismatched relationship, they could have all these things of the world that seem wonderful. But if that's not really the truth of who some people are, they kind of have to temper themselves. They could be more immature, more materialistic, more self indulgent, more about the ego and the image. And they could be in relationships with people that really isn't more the driving factor for them. And so to stay in that relationship, they kind of have to try to create an illusion that that's more their truth and what drives and motivates them, when it's really not. And eventually we can all kind of feel defensive, even though there could be love there and people like each other, and could get along well, all those good things. But eventually, there is that part of us, whether we're more about ourself or the world or not, where we become defensive of feeling like we're not really able to live our truth. And the people who are less motivated by love and are more about themselves, or like to be indulged, or are more materialistic, or like it to be more about them, or whatever, it can be really overwhelming for them to be in a relationship with someone who harnesses these energies in a high vibe way. It's like trying to pretend you're more stable, more grounded, more mature, more just, more fair, more tempered than you are. And it can become really overwhelming. It's, again, like someone who gets a job and they get hired for the job, and for a while, it can all go okay. But then, the people are ready for them, like, to move forward to the next job. It's like, oh my gosh, I've been struggling. Initially it could have went okay, but after a while it can become more and more overwhelming, because I might have a lot of lessons to learn. I might not know all the things I was supposed to have known to take this job, and you know, and it can make people defensive, because again, they're just feeling overwhelmed, because for some people they could feel overwhelmed because they could just be starting to feel like they want to take that leap of faith. Like, oh my gosh, this person is like everything that I could have thought I dreamed of. But that means they'd have to work through some of their fears of being more willing to actually more authentically invest in the relationship. And that can be the danger zone that, like, nope, I'm getting out of it. And in the Fool card, with the Fool kind of going that direction, even though there's a part of them that would like to invest in it, they kind of give in to their fear and getting up in their head. And it's like, no, I'm not going to move forward with that. I think I'll be happy just making my life more about me. And maybe I'll just go get in a relationship with someone else, and they could just start the cycle all over with someone else. Or they could think, nope, this isn't my truth. I really am more about these things of the world. This person isn't more about those things. They want me to be more balanced and be more just and fair and equally about these things of the world, and be more inspired by truth and love. That's not my truth. I'm going to go get myself in a relationship with someone who might equally be more about these things of the world. So then they could think, that'll make me happy. Well, again, if they're not being truthful and kind of living more from their mind than their heart, they could go get in another relationship with someone who's maybe more about these things of the world and being in a relationship. Or they could think that the moon can be that some people, again, thinking I can just create this illusion about the type of person I am. Well, if they get in a relationship with, even if it's someone who is more about whatever they like to indulge in, or more about the money and the ego and the status and the image, people can make that more of a priority in their life, but they still can be motivated and inspired by love, Some people could be much more ambitious, much more career focused, just more driven out within themselves, right? But they can still be motivated by love. And the people who they're just more about these things of the world, and that's the most important thing, again, could have not listened to their intuition. They might know people who are more about the world, and those people could be seeming like more consumed and driven by those things, but they could still want a relationship based on love, and then those people could have to get out of those relationships. Still trying to find someone who seems to maybe be more about the world, who maybe, like them, is willing to be okay more with being in the relationship and staying in the relationship more for these reasons of the world. And if they can find someone who wants to be in a relationship more for, in a shadowy Taurus, Aquarius, Libra, Cancer, Aries, Pisces nature within themselves, and Leo is more driven and motivated to be in a relationship more for those reasons of the world, well, then they have found someone who they could feel they will be happy with, because they're both driven and motivated by these things. And it's kind of like, if people are kind of like mismatched puzzle pieces trying to stick together when they don't quite fit, it's kind of like everybody has the free will to live their life the way they want it. Just get in relationships with people that are authentically more motivated and inspired by the same things that you're motivated and inspired by. Then you probably will be happier, and you're equally motivated and inspired by those same things. Now, in a relationship where neither one really want to do love, and they like to live more from their mind than their heart, and they're really kind of driven and motivated to be in a relationship and stay in a relationship and have the status and the ego and image, I kind of think shadowy people are always kind of feeling overwhelmed and stressed out, because they could know, if someone else came along that had, if it's status, ego, and image, well, if someone came along that had more status, ego, and image, they'd probably get out of there, because they're really motivated and inspired, really just more about themselves, and they think that's just and fair. And sorry, I'm going to leave this relationship now because I found someone else that has more money, status, and image. If they are someone who feels like they're having to put in more work and effort than someone else, they might want to try to find someone where that person puts more of the work and effort in. What is it that kind of motivates and inspires us? If we're lazy, we're probably going to try to find someone else who naturally kind of likes to play more of that role. of whatever it is that we're lazy about that we don't want to do, you know? If it's mowing the lawn or whatever it could be, right? They're at any time they know it's kind of like a delicate balance to try to maintain when they know neither one of them are really in it for love and that everybody's uh, just using their emotions and their status and their image or their looks or their charm and their sexuality to keep manipulating each other to stay in it. But if they're both kind of overwhelmed about listening to their intuition, Taurus and Aquarius and Leo are fixed sign energy. If they're more fearful of change, again, they could be really motivated and inspired to try to make the relationship work more out of their fear of change, fear of being single. Some people, just being in a relationship makes them feel more balanced. And so, people can be willing to put more work and effort into kind of indulging people and trying to make it work just because. But again, some people it's more the status and the ego and the image of it. Some high vibe people who already have grew up in families like that or have dated or married people that were like that, those people could have realized they were repeating a pattern. They didn't want to repeat a pattern. They didn't want to be in a relationship more for being in a relationship. They didn't want to be in it more out of their fear or their insecurity or their codependency. And they got inspired within themselves to love themselves, to become more independent of and invest in themselves, to love and believe in themselves, to get more balanced within themselves and love themselves and stay more balanced within themselves and keep life in perspective, look at life from the big picture and take action in their truth. Otherwise, they could take action repeating that old pattern, being more codependent, indulging people more in a relationship, indulging poor behavior in themselves. But they want justice and they want balance and they want to feel more stable and grounded and balanced and proud of themselves and happy. And if you're in a relationship where it's more mismatched or it seems like you do have to indulge people in some type of behavior that isn't aligned with your truth, eventually it became so overwhelming that it did force, the high vibe people to work through their fears of standing up for their truth. And they probably knew when they did that the other people maybe wouldn't want to keep moving forward with them. Or if they were in a relationship and then they kind of realize, oh my gosh, somebody is more about themselves or these things, and it's not truth and love, and maybe they could be doing some immature things, that's like shadowy Sagittarius, that makes me feel really overwhelmed, and I don't know if I want to keep moving forward in this relationship or at this job, and I have to work through my fears of loving and believing in myself and maintaining balance within myself. Because again, sometimes people will try to get people in a relationship with them. And then once they think that person is invested in it and it seems to have all these things, then they think, now I think I can go be immature or self-indulgent or whatever. And this person maybe being manipulated more by the world and the image and the status and what would people think, that person then, instead of kind of standing up for their truth, will kind of then indulge them in them. It's like going down the road of life and you think your things are going okay, and then either slowly or suddenly people drive their life off into the ditch, and hoping you won't love and believe in yourself to stand up for yourself, that you'll kind of come down in the ditch with them, and then kind of making it more about them and indulging them. And for some people, you know, it could really maybe rock your world and turn your life upside down, that someone who you had viewed as more just, fair, stable, grounded, mature does something that was not offering love to their own fears and insecurities and offering love to the situation, but instead chooses to repeat some poor past pattern that is not aligned with moving forward in these type of energies, right? And that's when some people could kind of see the truth that some people didn't learn some lessons that some other people had learned. And again, it could be that shadowy energy where people can be try to manipulate or control people. And that can be kind of a shadowy Aries energy that someone has. I think it should be more my way. And, as long as everything's going okay, it goes okay. But then if other people maybe just kind of do some work within themselves to love themselves, to get more balance within themselves, where maybe before they weren't, and as they do, they're kind of closing out an old way of being to shed an old layer of themselves in a way, just like we shed being 15 years old to become more like an 18-year-old, and shed being an 18-year-old to become more like a 21-year-old. Some people grew up, and in the process of some type of friendship or relationship, they worked through some of their fears, their insecurities, their self-limiting beliefs, and they were inspired to kind of go to that next phase of life. Let's close out this cycle and have this new beginning. And that's when some people, though, kind of maybe thought things were just going to always move forward the way things were. They could have some things that might overwhelm them, but unless you offer love to those things and kind of work through those things, and work through some of your fears and insecurities about some things that could overwhelm you, just the baggage we as normal human beings kind of carry with us at any point in time. They could have planned in their life they were never going to do that. Could they have some things that kind of manipulate them? Yeah, but they could have decided, I'm never going to deal with it. And then they could have been shocked and overwhelmed that some of the people that they worked with or friends or relationships with, those people did do some of that work within themselves. And now, it's like shedding an old layer of your ego nature. It's kind of like giving birth to a new you. You don't think the same way. You don't feel the same way. You don't view the world the same way. Whatever it is that people could have worked through, they're different than they used to be. They're not the same person, kind of, in a way. How they view themselves, how they view the world, things that they used to think were just and fair. Again, if we look at our life at these different ages of our life, what we thought was just and fair, what we wanted to invest our time, energy, and effort into, how we viewed ourselves, how we viewed others, how we viewed relationships, what we thought was just and fair. What were some of the things we maybe could have put up with thinking it was just and fair when we first started out in some jobs, versus later when we had some more experience and exposure to different things. It's kind of like, or just learning life or loving yourself or something. And other people could have decided, people could have just been more caught up in themselves, more caught up in the world, things they indulged in, and then someone could have got more balance within themselves. Well, then it's kind of like, well, you're not hanging out, want to go do this anymore. It's like, well, no, I did do that, but now I kind of want to invest in some other things. And other people could be like, well, you can go ahead and do that, but I'm going to keep doing this. And so we can have friends and family members, romantic interests at all these different stages that in life that we go through where we're kind of ready to move forward in life a little differently and they're not. And, they'll be probably happy living their life the way they live it, just like they were happy living it last month, 1 year ago, 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, depending on how old they are. And other people, it's kind of like we live our life at this phases of life. Some people motivated and inspired in their Sagittarius energy to learn lessons, to work through some of this baggage periodically. Are we doing it necessarily every day? But we might accumulate stuff over time. And then we might be like, I think there's something that keeps me kind of repeating an old pattern. There's some things I might like to do in my life, but I'd maybe have to be more balanced within myself, be more confident within myself. I'm going to do this work within myself to figure out what it is that stops me from kind of maybe living my life more in the way I would like to live it. And so then they do that work, and it's kind of this internal kind of private work, you do within yourself to, why don't I do this? Why do I do that? What are my fears? What are my insecurities? Why am I so afraid or whatever? And then they kind of do that work and they come out on the other side, and some other people didn't. So you kind of freed yourself from something that at one time could have manipulated you, which could have been, kind of a core foundational truth of why we even got into certain jobs, friendships, or relationships. And then you're kind of ready to move forward a little differently, could stay at that job, could want to stay in that friendship or relationship. It's just that, it's just like how our children grow up. We can't keep treating an 8-year-old like a 5-year-old. They don't want to be treated like a 5-year-old anymore. And then, people change over time, and some people don't like change. Some people want things to stay the same. And some people stay more the same for longer periods of time than other people, And I guess the more happy you are continuing to live your life the way it is, but sometimes the people that are more shadowy are the people who are being more indulged. So of course, who's less likely to want things to change? The people who are happy with it staying the same. Who does want things to change? The people who probably feel like other people are being the more indulged person, and it doesn't seem to be just and fair, and they would like things to change. And if people can't work through that, if they don't have this common goal and driven and motivated by these same kind of principles or love or be more just and fair, some of those situations aren't going to work out. For some of the people who are more about themselves, who aren't being truthful and authentic, some people in their life, as time goes by, over and over, they could see this happen. Some more of the high vibe people in their life, friends or family, people at work, wherever, could end up becoming defensive. Everybody could have had a hard time wanting to see the truth, didn't want to see the truth, kept being like loving and encouraging. But they see we can offer people truth and love and encouragement, but unless they're inspired within themselves to love and invest in themselves and get more balanced, their idea of the dream relationship is for other people to always play that role in their life. But they never aren't inspired within themselves to play that role within themselves. So it stays a more codependent relationship. I'm sad, I'm mad, I'm in this state of whatever it is, good or bad. Um, you should be inspired to want to be in a relationship with me in whatever state that is. They just maybe always stay out of balance, never get more balance within themselves, or maybe always going back and forth. Maybe I'm seeing the Six of Pentacles can kind of talk about that, and it can get overwhelming for other people. And again, if people aren't inspired within themselves, don't want to learn lessons, is what the world in reverse can talk about. Don't want to close out an old cycle, want to keep repeating old patterns. Eventually, some people are going to be like, you can do that, but I'm not going to do that. And I might close out a cycle with you and go invest more of my time and energy and effort into people who I think are willing to be more balanced, act with character and integrity, be more loving and encouraging, and where there's more equal give and take, and I don't feel like I'm more the one having to put in all the work and effort. And they could make offers to people that they think, if it's to leave a job, get out of some friendships or relationships, to go find people in the world who they think are more just and fair. And I think if we listen to our intuition and we're not planting bad seeds and we're taking action, treating other people the way we like to be treated, some of those people right now could have gotten out of some more mismatched relationships, and they could be working with some people who are more on the same page as them, or more balanced, or more stable, more mature, more inspiring, more loving. And then people will have to see how that moves forward. Is everybody willing to keep moving forward, or, do things change over time? Do people get inspired to move on differently? But with some of the people in your life are probably people who act in this high vibe way, that they defend you, you defend them, you have this common dream, and you both know that, or the group knows that everyone has to be inspired within themselves to temper their more immature egoic nature, not to appease people, but because authentically they want to be that type of person. Because the people who are just trying to appease others, like they're having to sacrifice their truth to get along with these people, don't do us any favors. You go do you. Because it's probably not going to work out anyway if it's trying to kind of wear a false mask and it's not really the truth of who you are. And again, for some shadowy people, probably coming into contact, probably if they're trying to manipulate high vibe people, more high vibe people in their life, and other high vibe people will continue to be defensive to them. They might not want, the shadowy people might not want to see some traits, characteristics, attributes, ways of interacting with people that they're kind of blind to and don't want to see the truth of. But other people see the truth, like, I can see you're immature, I can see you're lazy, I can see you're bossy, I can see you're full of yourself, I can see, I don't know, you think you should be indulged, or maybe everybody else should do the work or something. Other people see it. But some shadowy people could think, oh, but those loving and encouraging people, they have such a hard time acknowledging the truth. I bet I can indulge myself here for a lot longer. Well, for some of them they might, but eventually it's probably not going to turn out the way they want, because eventually people get tired of it. And they'll probably have to go look for a different friend, a different job, a different relationship. And if they repeat that same pattern someplace else, the same thing will probably happen again. If they meet some people who maybe are more codependent on them for some reason, those people might be happy to indulge them for longer. You know? And if they meet some people who think the way they think and view life the way they view it and want to live life the way they want to view it, then they found a good match. And I would much rather have people in a relationship with someone who is on the same page as them than manipulating someone. And the people who already got out of a relationship with them already know they don't want to be in a relationship with them because they know the truth about how they act. So, if other people want to do that, that's fine. You go do that. I hope you're happy. I know I wasn't happy in it. And I guess everybody's going to defend their truth of how they view life, of what they think is just and fair, that they think will make them happy. Living more from their mind than their heart, working together with people more cooperatively from love, being more immature, growing up. It's just knowing that everybody's different. And everybody is probably defending their truth. And we can either stay in denial of that truth, or the truth sets us free for us to go invest in and stand up for our truth. What's coming out for the people who harness some high vibe Sagittarius energy? Okay. We have a card coming out, not showing itself. The reason is because of the Nine of Swords and the Queen of Swords. High vibe people want to get to the truth. And because they felt kind of confused, like things weren't clear, they got inspired within themselves. I might not be able to get clear about why. I mean, we can do tarot to try to figure out why other people do what they do. It can be a hard time wrapping our brain around it because we don't think that way. But the only person I can change is me. So I'm going to get clear about my truth. What is it that makes me happy? What do I want to invest in? What do I think is just and fair? What kind of relationships do I want to be in? What do I want to invest my time, energy, and effort into? What are some of my dreams? And from the Seven of Cups to the Ten of Cups, or from the Three of Cups to the Ten of Cups, is the Seven of Cups. So it's like as if this here kind of represents the Seven of Cups. In the Seven of Cups, we can all want to be in some of these friendships and relationships and jobs, right? The high vibe people are willing to... No more illusions, kind of, is what the Seven of Cups can talk about. I don't want to be in a relationship to be in a relationship. I don't want to be in a job to have a job. I want to be in friendships and relationships with people that are being authentic and balanced, mature, inspiring, loving, walk the talk, are who they say they are. And you're standing up for that. You got clear about your truth. And because of that, it helped you work through this energy here to harness it in a more high vibe way versus a worldly shadowy way. Page of Cups in reverse, which could be where before you weren't really investing in yourself and loving yourself and standing up for yourself and investing in your dreams. And you could have been with the page in more codependent energy. And that can be where, we're looking to other people and to be in a relationship with other people kind of be the answer. But really, the answer first lies within us. And when we love and believe in ourselves and know how to maintain balance within ourselves and are clear about our truth of what we think is just and fair, and we kind of had to go on all these journeys in life and come in contact with all these different people to help us get more clear about our truth. It's kind of hard to, well, at different times we could have stood up. There's lots of things in our life that we defended over our life, but kind of in high vibe Leo, coming into our own, I have had enough life experience that I'm clear about my truth. And I do not want to be around more immature people. I do not want to be in relationships with people who are more codependent or want me to be more codependent. I want it to be just and fair and inspired by truth and love. And if that's not their truth, they can go do that with someone else, and you are looking to the future and keeping things in perspective, going on this adventure. Kind of the Fool card can be about taking that leap of faith, and Sagittarius can be about going on this adventure. There could be people in your life, the Nine of Cups down to the Three of Cups, of the Six of Cups. There could have been people in your life that some of them you did want to stay in a relationship with, and the Six of Cups can talk about. But if they are more about indulging themselves or more emotionally manipulative, those people, you're letting them go because you don't want to be in that type of relationship. And you've made peace with that. And maintaining balance within yourself. And again, no more illusions. The people in your life who didn't act in a more just and fair way, mature way, do more equal give and take, kind of seeing through the illusion is because they don't want to. We just had a hard time accepting the truth of it. If they had wanted to be that kind of person, they would be that kind of person. And if there's people in our life that we would like to have more of a friendship or relationship with, and they're not doing that, it can be because they're in friendship or relationship with other people. And that is their truth and what they think is just and fair. So we get out of our ego about it and accept that everybody is defending what makes them happy. And we are going to stand up for the people in our life and exchange resources with the people in our life who are working together with us in a just and fair way and investing in us. Getting out of our big thing is to get out of your ego about it, to accept what is and look to the future and keep believing in your dreams. This dream that you want to manifest can only come into reality with other people that are more on the same page as you. And if they're on the same page with other people, well, then that's who they're on the same page with. They could have more things in common, or they're manipulating someone, or they're shadowy, or they're not wanting to see the truth about someone. But that's for them to figure out. You can only work with the people who are willing to work with you. So focus on that and look to the future. And I think as you do that, there's always going to be the people who, as you start investing your time, energy, and effort, not in the people who aren't aligned with your truth, opens up the opportunity to get to know people and focus your time and attention on the things and the people and all the other aspects of things that are part of your dream. And I think there will be other people who are going to be in that energy, and there's going to be other people that are like, nope, I'm going to go do this again. It's like, okay. It's kind of like God wants to give birth to new things, but God can only work with people who aren't continuing to repeat an old pattern. creative, inspired energy wants to give birth to new things, but it can only do that if people are willing to align with it and face their fears and love and believe in themselves and maintain balance within themselves to keep letting love and intuition guide them forward. That's how we'll give birth to something new. What's coming up for people who might not want to listen to love and intuition to guide them, that they might not see coming? The Knight of Wands, the Three of Cups, the Five of Cups, and the reason is because of the Queen of Wands. Well, we're either kind of being a good leader or a bad leader in the world. And while some people are repeating old patterns, maybe living more from their mind than their heart, maybe being immature, maybe trying to confuse people about the truth of who they are, some other people are inspiring other people with love to work through their regrets of the past and go on this journey with them. And some people will communicate to the more shadowy people in their life that they're inspired by those people and they did work through some of their regrets and they are ready to move forward differently. Do they want to come with? And the shadowy people will say, no, I'm going to keep repeating this old pattern. And the next people in their life, or some of the other people in their life, will be sad that they kind of choose to keep being more inspired by their ego nature, being more emotionally manipulated by their ego nature, or their fear, or other people, or the world, and that they never, every other people could see that they have things that manipulate them, but they don't want to see the truth of it. And other people saw kind of what manipulated them, and they worked through it. They got inspired, and they're Sagittarius. I'm going to wrap my brain around this. I'm going to do this work within myself to become independent of things or people or ways of viewing myself or the world that keep me from feeling more balanced within myself and getting the justice I deserve and doing more equal give and take. I'm going to do all that within myself, and then I want to be in relationships with other people who do that within themselves. Sometimes when people are shadowy, it can kind of be defensive to admitting that we were kind of immature or something, and we repeated some poor past pattern. Well, some of those people might do it again, and that, whatever it is, and that can be when some other people can no longer kind of hide from the truth, and they decide to, I'm going to let them do what they want to do, and I'm moving forward. There you go, or Sagittarius. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.